So exciting. I feel like I should be talking about our sweaty balls. Our world famous sweaty balls.
I could talk about my sweaty balls right now. It is fucking hot.
It's slightly warm.
Just a bit.
Slightly moist.
Okay, are you guys feeling ready?
Yeah. Are you?
I'm so ready.
I was born for this.
Joe's ready.
I think I could undo one more button.
Yeah, give it to us.
There we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Small Town Big Gays. We are the gays who are too large for how small of a town this is. I'm Chance.
I'm Travis.
And who is it that we have between us?
Oh, we have a very special guest today with us. Everyone's favorite Uncle Joe.
Uncle.
Very special. Very special.
Yeah, we have Joey Emerson, a.k.a. Jem Stone, with us here today.
Yes, local legend in the flesh.
True. Yeah, we're going to berate you today and
I love it.
get to the nitty-gritty of why you are the way you are.
Oh, God, how much time you got?
We have plenty of time. The viewers want to know.
They need to know.
They're dying to know what caused this.
Let's start with this hair. Did you do this yourself? I'm kidding.
I did not. The lovely Chloe Travis did it yesterday.
Oh, that's why it looks like shit.
Oh.
I'm kidding.
Wow. So that's where we're starting out
I'm trying
today.
to be more mean to you.
Is that
To
what,
me?
To her.
Oh, okay. I was like,
Is that what the viewers want? You to be more mean to me?
I don't know, but it's what I want.
is that in the comments? Like, you guys
Yeah.
should be cattier to each other. You're too nice to each other.
Talk about sex more and be bitchier. No, I'm kidding. I'm
Noted.
sorry.
No, I
I'm
was
sorry.
like-
it's also weird that I have to reach over a person to touch
I
you
don't know if
now.
I want you to touch me
Touch
today
me.
now.
Touch me.
I'll think about it.
It's fine.
We'll come back to this at the end of the episode.
Okay.
Well, I was doing my research last night. I was doing my homework, and I saw your last episode, and I see that you guys are going to make out at the Pride show.
Pride show, yeah.
Pride, yeah.
And when you said that it was going to be like making out with your older sister, I lost my shit because I was like, yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Seems appropriate.
Let's get right
Enough
into it,
about
shall
kissing
we?
Enough about kissing sisters.
Tell us a little bit about who you are. I'm just kidding. We can start.
Okay.
Let's start from the beginning. Well, first of all, you are from a small town in Wisconsin.
I am,
so tell
yes.
us about what it was like growing up in a smaller town.
Yeah, so I grew up in a town called Black River Falls, Wisconsin. It's pretty small. I couldn't tell you the population because I don't care, but
Fair.
It's small. I was lucky that I have a very cool family and stuff, but it was not a fun place to grow up as a gay kid, especially because I was very flamboyant at a young age, if you can imagine that. I know. And the son of a farmer, my dad's a crop farmer. So, I remember being a little kid and they tried to give me toy tractors and stuff like that. And I would just throw a fit and I would just scream and cry. And I said, I want a Malibu Barbie. I didn't want a tractor. And she can't even fit in this tractor. What's the point? So, I'm thankful that like my parents, got the hint, the very obvious hint of me screaming, pretty quickly and stopped trying to force that upon me and eventually just got me the Malibu Barbie and just moved on with it. But yeah, my poor dad would be sitting and making crops in the carpet with the toys that he bought for me that I had no interest in. It's quite sad. He got two gay sons, so he didn't get a son that wanted to do with the farming as well. But they're very, very lovely and very supportive, and I'm very thankful that way. That at home, I was always very supported, because obviously in the outside world I was not. But yeah, I mean, I think the teasing started at I don't know, kindergarten, because I was bringing in my Little Pony for show and tell and not like a He-Man or a race car. And I was like, but she's got sparkly hair. Like, I don't, what are you going to do with that? Like,
He-Man doesn't have shit.
yeah, I'm like, he doesn't have hair you can play with. Like, he's got muscles though, and I like that. But give me She-Ra, okay?
You knew very young then. So.
Yeah, I knew very young that I was a little different.
Yeah.
I always dated girls though. I always had a girlfriend since elementary school. I always had my little girlfriend that I would buy gifts for and do sweet things for. So I would have made a great boyfriend besides the sex part.
You just made her into a hag.
I mean, basically, yes. I started fag hags very young. I was always dating the pretty popular girls. I mean, I dated some of the other ones too because
Some of the ugly girls.
I ran out of the pretty popular girls after a while, and I think they caught on that I would hold hands, and I did have a few makeout parties, but
never you weren't getting your knob slobbed at 12 years old.
I was, but not by girls.
Okay.
All right.
I had a lot of truth or dare moments with my boyfriends. Yeah, I always had a girlfriend that was like my arm candy, but then I always had like my guy friends that I was playing truth or dare naughty things with at a very young age. Like I think I had my first threesome in middle school with the two brothers.
Wow.
We're getting into it right away.
Right.
We're not even going to waste time. Why don't you guys want the dirt? Here it is. A truth or dare game gone very, very awry.
Very, very wrong or very, very right, depending on
the pull-out couch with their parents in the next room.
Oh my. Wow.
Yeah.
Brothers. Huh?
Yeah, brothers. That was my first brothers experience.
There have been multiple.
There has been multiple.
Yeah, I mean, if you think that I've lived a life,
This
Get
one.
ready.
Yeah, I'm
Buckle
pretty
up.
boring these days. I cook and I garden and whatever, and now I mostly have my sex toys because I trust them, and they don't talk. They don't have heads. So there's that. There's not. I can just eat right away afterwards. There's no like awkward. Can you leave? I want to eat chips in bed by
That's
myself. Fair. But yeah, I did have quite a history before I calmed down.
well, we love that. And we're gonna get into that here in a little bit. Let's we need to edge him a little bit here before we give it all away. You know?
Okay, here you go. First threesome.
There's apparently just a lot to cover.
At
So
12.
Yeah, we got a lot to get into. So, before you became a huge skank,
Yes.
What was life like for you growing up in the crop fields of Black River Falls?
Yeah.
It was, it's funny because like when you're in it, like it's awful and it's torture and you can't wait to get out. And I think everyone has like a different like memory of their childhood. Like my siblings have very different, like my sister's very much like woe is me about like some of the stuff. My brother's very indifferent, and I like to see it as like the Roseanne show. Like we were very dysfunctional, but like there was a lot of love. And like my parents were home every night. There was no drinking, there was no drugs, there was no cheating, there was no fighting. I mean, there was the one fight of 1998 where my dad under his breath said the B word, and my mom walked all the way to town. Then she cooled off and came back, and they banged it out, and that was the fight of 98. So I grew up in a house where like we were like chaotic, but like there wasn't abuse, there wasn't some of that stuff that my friends were dealing with. So I look back and I sort of just laugh at it all. Like it's funny to me. It's like a silly sitcom of dysfunction. But like I said, my siblings have different versions of that. But I don't know. I guess I try to look back at it as just sort of funny and move on. But it definitely wasn't like at school. Like home was good. Like, and thankfully I grew up before the internet, and that makes me feel old, but we didn't have social media. So like when I went home, it ended.
Yeah.
When I was at school, it was, I mean, even when I was little, even when I was dating girls, like people were like, you're different, you like dolls, and like, are you gay? And of course at that point I didn't even know. I knew that like I was different, but I didn't know. I mean, I would get a little excited at looking at the underwear part of the catalog of Sears catalog or the JCPenney catalog, and you flip to that men's underwear section, and then you pull it out, and then you pull it out. So I always knew there was something a little different, but everybody else very much knew there was something different about me and my family and my friends, everybody in town. So yeah, definitely a lot of bullying, especially as I got older, like into middle school, high school. It became pretty awful to the point where like I was cutting myself. I was suicidal. I had to be hospitalized. I was in a psych ward for a week when I was 16 because I was a cutter, which a lot of people don't understand why people do that. Now we're getting deep here, going from 3 ways to cutting. But it was a way for me to sort of like snap out of it, I couldn't control how other people were making me feel about myself, but I could control my own physical pain. So, and it was usually like in my thigh where people couldn't see it. I wasn't one of those kids who like had it on my arm because I didn't want people to know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was rough because I mean people, but back then I weirdly give my bullies credit because they had to like have the balls to say it to my face and like do it to my face. There wasn't like behind a keyboard shit. They were like spitting on me, pushing me in a locker, threatening me, stuff like that, and like, which is awful. I don't think anyone wants to go through that. But like I said, at the end of the day, I went home and that ended. It wasn't like people sending me messages online or, that sort of stuff. So at least I had that, like I had support at home. Whereas I feel like a lot of kids now, they, maybe they have the support at school, but they don't have the support at home, or, they're going home and like, they're still just getting these, hateful
you can't
messages.
Get away from
like,
it.
Yeah, you can't get away from it now. Again, weirdly, it's like my trauma. I now look back and I'm like, like it could have been worse. Although like a lot of people would probably think like, I don't want to be spit on or shoved into a locker. That sounds worse than being hateful comments, but it is what it is. But I found, and this is probably why I started drinking at a very young age, that if I would go to parties or be in social situations, if I just drank a lot, I just became the clown in the life of the party. And I also knew where to get the booze and where to get the pot and where to get, like, I was the guy who knew where to get the party favors. So like eventually kids stopped being like, oh, he's the gay kid. They're like, well, he's a gay kid, but like he's a good time.
He's got the drugs
and he's got the hookup.
Yeah.
Like he knows like all the older kids, like he knows where the parties are at. Like I was partying with seniors as like a 15-year-old because my sister was older. And they kind of made me their little jester. It was like, get him as wasted as possible because then he's really funny. And like, I'd be throwing up in cornfields and they'd be like, you feel better? Here, have another one. Do another keg stand, And so I learned at a very young age that drugs and alcohol would sort of take away that like, oh, I'm the odd kid, or I'm the one like that doesn't fit in. Because now I just don't care. And now I'm like, look at me, instead of being like, don't look at me. So that's something that I just recently through therapy have discovered that like is why that has been such a huge part of my life, especially, growing up in that situation. And actually just today is my 30 days sober.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So I don't know that I'm going to be sober forever. I would like to get to a point where I could just have one glass of wine or one drink and then like be good. But right now I have moderation issues. I can't eat one chip. I have to have the whole bag, and I can't have one glass. I have to have 2 boxes. Box wine, for those of you unaware.
She's a classy bitch.
I am very classy. I like my box wine because I'm cheap. And it does the same trick. So that's where that kind of started in school, is just really leaning into that party phase, party era, because then you're too messed up to like think about that, like you're the odd one out. And that like people may not accept you, because then in that state they'd be like all stoned and be like, oh, you're pretty cool for a gay guy. I'm like, thanks. Like,
it's almost like I'm just a person.
Yeah, like, wow, I am just a person trying to survive this small town like you.
Like,
so
what age was this that started?
I started the party at like 13-ish. With friends, like, you'd find that one beer, and like I had friends that like their parents always had beer in the fridge but no food, and they were cool with us partying, and so I would bring food over because I felt bad for my friends. So at the time I thought, oh my god, their parents are so cool. And as I grew older, I realized like, okay, actually I like that my parents buy food and not booze.
Yeah.
And like don't allow us to like just party all night and have people over, whatever. So yeah, that started very, very young, because like I said, it took the edge off of being the odd kid and being the standout. And again, like I said, when people are in that state, all of a sudden you're having conversations with people that you might not, because you're both drunk or you're both stoned. And now it's like, hey man, I relate with you about this. And like, you may be a jock or a whatever, and I'm the gay kid, but like we're bonding over this beer, or we're bonding over this weed, right? Like this is really good swag. It's got barely any seeds and stems in it. Oh, the good old days. Yeah, and let's smoke some cloves together and have some
cloves,
coffee.
Huh?
Yes, cloves and coffee, because that makes you an adult when you're 12 years old. But yeah, so that's really where that all started, and it kind of got me through school. I guess it did, because I moved out at 16, and my things were good at home, but I somehow convinced my parents to move out at 16, and I lived with two 20-year-old girls, and I would have them buy me cartons of cigarettes, and I would sell them out of my car in high school. I was selling them for like $5 a pack, and back then, this is going to date me again, they were like $2.50 or something a pack. So
hell yeah.
I was, so I was the kid who like could get you cigarettes. My roommates could get you beer. I knew the best pot dealers in town, and so like that got me through that. And again, just recently through therapy, I'm realizing that that's been a common theme in my life of like the partying takes the edge off of everything else.
Yeah.
And also like just makes you more relatable and more fun to people. But then I've kind of realized like I'm already a silly, fun, weird person anyways. And like, I don't know that like the drugs or alcohol are really helping that or just making me, more of a mess with less money.
Will you tell us about how your dad used to have you dress up for his friends in the Walmart parking lot and dance for him?
That would be funny if it was true. My dad would have been mortified.
You had me going for a second.
Yeah, like you're like, wait a minute, from buying him tractors to forcing him to dress up.
Really accepting dad.
But I will use that as a segue because as a little kid, I mean, very, very little, I would put on drag shows for my family. And it was always like the Whitney Houston Bodyguard soundtrack was my go-to. And I would put like towels around my head, or I'd like put like a shirt around my head and dance around in my mom's wooden clogs, which I also used to beat my brother with. They were very multifaceted clogs. They were solid wood, and you could dance around them, and you could also throw them across the room and really hit someone hard in the head.
You know who also loves a good clog?
Who?
Who do you think? Just think on it for 1 second.
A good clog.
A good clog.
Barbara?
Good mule. Barbara does too, but our good friend Felicia Ashton.
Felicia, yeah. She does love a good clog. Yeah. A nice, sensible clog.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever worn them since the early 90s when I was doing shows for my family.
No one should.
But yeah, I would dance around and lip sync to Whitney Houston while my family like just looked on in horror. Like, well, what is happening and why is he doing this? And why do we have to watch it? But now they come to my drag shows and, throw money at me. So not my father. My father's been to one of my drag shows, and that is enough for me. Mm-hmm. He doesn't go to bars in general. It's just not his scene anyway. And I found out last minute he was coming, and my mom said, "Oh, me and Dad are coming." I'm like, "What?" And this is back when I wore like a bra and panty on stage, and that was it. So at the last minute, I changed all my numbers to like country and put on long dresses and pants. So I was like, I'll dance around with my butt out in front of my mother any day of the week because she's used to it. But in front of my daddy, I was like, nope. Not. And afterwards, so I was very demure, very covered. And afterwards, he was like, "Well, you did a nice job." Like, I was like, "Okay, that's all I need. You never need to come again. Like, this is awkward for you and me." Like,
He didn't tell you it was as good as the Walmart shows?
No, It was, no one was throwing nickels at me like at the Walmart parking lot. But I've gone and supported him in his combine derbies and stuff like that, and we're just very different people in what we do.
Sorry, pause. Combine derbies. Yeah, are they like driving combines at each other?
Yeah, like giant farm equipment smashing into each other.
Hell yeah.
It is the best redneck time you can have. They don't move very fast.
No,
obviously.
They do not.
Almost like that seems like a very slow.
It's a very
it's an edging situation.
It's a very edging situation. If you're, and they have the other rounds where there's cars and trucks and stuff, and they move very fast. And once they hit the barriers, they stop. But like when a combine hits the barrier, like the barrier moves.
Yeah.
And like all of a sudden you're like moving back, and it can be very scary, but it's also very fun.
Incredible.
And my dad is sort of like the Jem Stone of the combine derby world. Like he's the OG. He started it and won for many years. And so
how does one get that many combines to derby?
Yeah, that shit's expensive.
So right, yeah. So we're really just all over the place today, going from three ways to drugs to now combine derbies. But
that's small town big gays, baby.
I know, I love it. So, and it's very small town, right? This is what we do. It's the big event of the fair. It's like the ending event of the fair. Everyone goes home after this. And my dad was gifted his by like an old farmer, and he's been using the same one, this old Oliver combine, for I don't know, 15 plus years. And every year it's like destroyed, and he lugs it home. And the week before the fair, he's like, I don't know, I think she might have another year in her. And then he goes out and like fixes her up and smashes it up again. So yeah, it's become like this big thing. They started with like 2 people, and now there's, I don't know, it's the biggest event of the fair. So
hell yeah.
And when we go, I feel like we're like the royal family sitting in the front, like, yes, that's my father out there, the number 1 combine derby man. And everyone always is like, is that the drag queen son?
It's hard to tell in your family which
I
one
know.
does drag,
They just had their
to be honest.
anniversary party the other night. And it was me and my brother, who's also gay, and then my sister, who I wish was gay, because she has terrible taste in men. Sorry, Amy. But she knows it. She knows. And I felt like a lot of the people, I mean, it was like half the town was there, and I feel like a lot of them were looking like, which one's the drag queen out of those 2 boys? And I waited to bleach my hair until yesterday after the event, so it wasn't as obvious.
Well, Jordan is pretty feminine. So
Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, he's just a lot hairier than me.
Cool. Okay. Well, I feel like that was a lot.
I know. I can go off on any tangent.
Yeah, you can. Joey and I work together, so this is nothing new to me. So sometimes you just gotta let him go and get his thoughts out.
You just gotta let it ride out.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I asked this question. It's going here and now here, and and there's the point.
Lots of peaks and valleys.
Yes. I like to paint a picture.
You do a great job.
Now
I want to go to a fucking combine derby, though.
We should go this summer.
Can we?
Yes. I've brought many friends over the years, and it's the one like super redneck thing that I do that I like really, really
Love
enjoy.
it.
Yeah.
We're doing it.
I'll go. Yeah.
Great.
Oh man, we should like go and like film.
Mm-hmm. I'm
Like-
thinking segment. Like in small town.
Because I mean, it is really like that's. I mean, like, the epitome of small town.
That's a very small town thing.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
it's a good time.
Where were we in the life story?
Well, we've been all over, so let's rewind a
I'm
little bit.
bipolar. If this was not obvious,
It's
so
okay.
like this is why stories go from and there's not a straight timeline. There's nothing
Well,
straight.
yeah, we know, and we're okay with that. We invite all different types of people on this show, and so your parents were always fairly accepting of your sexuality. At least they, from a young age, knew that you were different. Yeah. What was it like growing up with parents who, from what I've know of your story, but the audience doesn't, were kind of accepting of you?
Yeah, and my mom says that like I didn't really give them a choice.
Yeah.
Because I've given them a lot of credit over the years and said I'm so thankful and so lucky, and so we didn't start out that way, and like this wasn't something we had planned for, or, obviously whatever expected, but like she's just like, you just were not going to not be yourself.
Yeah.
Like you were like, you either get on board or like get out of my way, like from a very young age. Like I said, like I didn't mince words with, and when it was Santa giving gifts, I would be like, God, Santa, what did you get? I didn't want the, like, even though I knew it was them, but like going to be screaming at Santa, like, well, something got mixed up here. But yeah, they always knew. I think everyone in my family knew, was pretty cool about it. And then when I came out at 16, I was fighting with my mom on the phone, and I, in a fit of rage, thinking I was going to upset her, I was like, well, f you, Mom, I'm bisexual, because I didn't really know at that point. And I got home, and I expected some sort of fight, some sort of pushback, some sort of whatever. And she was tearful, but she was just like more like, because she was worried about me, because like there was a gay guy when she went to high school and he got bullied and hurt, and so she was more worried about my safety. They were not at all surprised, obviously, and they were both just, my dad didn't say anything, my mom did all the talking, which you've met them, and that's just how it is. I will someday find
Joey
a man
has
like
a lot
that
in
too.
common with his mom, if you haven't noticed.
Yeah, I'm my mother through and through. Her stories too. It's like, good Lord, lady. Find the end. But yeah, so she just said, we love you, and we want you to be happy and safe, and just be careful. I think at that time too, we're talking 2000. Yeah, around 99, 2000. AIDS was still like very much like growing up. Like that was very much like a scary thing.
Yeah.
Especially like if you thought or knew you were gay. It was very much portrayed as like, oh, you're gay, you're going to get AIDS and you're going to die.
Yeah.
Obviously it's not like that anymore, but I think that was a concern too, of not only like the bullying and what I would have, that my life was gonna be harder, but that, like, be safe, like, in that aspect as well. But no, they were, I said, I didn't really allow them to not get on board with it. Like, she put me in like little league when I was a little boy, and like her poor woman, her boss was the coach, and they kept throwing balls at me, and I just stood there.
You just opened your mouth?
I just stood there at the bat with my bat down and my hip out, and had a snarky face, and I didn't even try to hit the ball. I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't know what you don't get about that. Again, I don't want the truck. I want the Malibu Barbie, and I've made that very clear.
Strong-willed young man.
Oh yeah, I wanted to be in dance class. I wanted to be, I wanted to be a child actor. I begged my mom to take me to Hollywood. I wanted to be Macaulay Culkin really bad.
I mean, you're probably pretty close to that.
Oh yeah, I would run around the school grounds and be like, and like I was obsessed. Yeah, I very much wanted to be like a little actor, a little dancer, that sort of thing. And this is why you have this, because I couldn't do it as a kid, so now I'm forcing everyone to watch me dance around. So,
have you ever seen that video? I think it was like a Vine or something where I think we may have talked about it on the podcast once before, but this guy, like, I don't know what, he's like gets in a fight with someone and gets upset, and then he just runs into his room and then like slams the door and then like screams, and then he like gets on his bed, and then he like, I think it's a remote or a phone, he like shoves it up his ass. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
I have not seen that video.
Well, I just visualized when you were talking about being in sports, especially Little League, is that you did that but with a baseball bat.
I was a little too young at that point to know that I liked things in that area. But,
you never know.
That would come later.
The baseball bat?
Not the baseball
bat. Okay, cool. So then you said when you were 16, you moved out with some older women. Was it in Black River, or did you move?
Yeah, no, I lived in an apartment right behind the high school, and then I actually went to like a tech program to graduate because the bullying had got to a point where I tried homeschooling for a while. It wasn't working. Because I wasn't in a program, my mom just made assignments for me. And she's like, do an assignment on the solar system. And I'm like, okay. Like, I'm 15 at this time, 16. And I'm like, all right. And for gym class, I'd have to like do laps around the garden. But, I mostly just watched Days of Our Lives because I was home alone all day.
It's really all you need to learn.
And we did have the internet at that point. It was dial-up, so it'd take all day to download a photo of a naked man, but I had all day, so, and then once it finally downloaded, then you press print and then add that to your collection with the, the clippings from the Sears catalog, and then take it out to the old car in the back 40.
Okay. Yeah. Real country.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
So what was it that like made you want to come out at 16, you said?
Well, I think there was a lot of it was just like 'cause people kept asking. And I knew that like once I just said whatever, then people like didn't care anymore. Because it was more like just like, we have to know. And I was like, yeah, I'm bi, whatever. And they're like, okay, whatever. Yeah. Like, now we don't care.
Very similar experience to what I had.
Yeah. Like, they have to know, and it's more interesting if it's a secret.
Yeah.
And so I think that was probably too, and I learned that like, after that, like, I have no secrets, and it's kind of a problem. I tell everybody everything because I think when you've lived any part of your life, even if it was a short part of your life, in secrecy, like, you seek honesty after that, and you just don't want to have anything be a secret. Like, the few secrets I do have are pretty pretty scary.
Tell us one now.
Tell us.
No,
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't even honestly think of any, like, because I'm like, I've told you everything.
Yeah.
Like, I tell you the most disgusting things. And then afterwards, I'm like, I don't know that they needed to know all that. But
we didn't,
but I feel better.
We appreciate it.
I feel better about getting it off my chest. So, and I didn't have to pay a therapist.
Yeah,
so,
true.
And I
sorry.
feel better about myself after too.
And then, yeah, the person around me is like, wow, I'm not as crazy as I thought I was. I just have to sit with Joey for a minute. Now I just don't feel so wild.
Do you think 16-year-old you would have messed around with 16-year-old Chance if you were in the same small town?
Oh, probably. Yeah, absolutely.
We definitely would have.
Yeah.
I was desperate for male attention.
Thanks.
No, yeah, that came
That
off.
was the answer I
That
was looking
came off
for.
real mean, and I did not mean it that way.
That's what we like.
Desperate. I'm like, I would have been the only other kid.
Yeah, true.
Oh, that was great.
40-year-old
What a
me would
moment.
mess around with you. So yeah,
Oh.
16-year-old me would have. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we love that. So, okay. Moved in with the apartment, came out. At what point did you decide to you needed to get out of Black River?
Immediately. I moved the day after I had my diploma.
Okay.
Damn.
Yeah.
And you came to Eau Claire?
Yep. I moved to Eau Claire. I went to school originally to be a drug and alcohol counselor. But I was drinking vodka every day in class and decided that I had convinced myself at that point that I would better be understanding to alcoholics because I myself quite enjoyed it. But realized very quickly that it was going to be depressing and sad. And I'm more of an immediate gratification type person. I couldn't imagine counseling someone for years or something. And then, they're still having problems. So they're still relapsing or whatever. So then I went into the hair school, where I could it kind of made sense because I was doing hair and makeup my whole life, whether it was on my Barbies or my sister's Barbies got it first. They all got hack jobs. I never cut my own Barbie's hair, just my sister's.
Maybe that's what you meant when you said they're all going to get it. It was the Barbies.
It was
You
the
were
Barbies.
thinking
They've all been.
They all got it.
So I was always doing that stuff, and I started wearing makeup at I don't know, in elementary school because I had bad skin. So I'd get into concealer and stuff like that. So makeup, hair, that was always, I started coloring my friend's hair in middle school, my own hair. I started with Kool-Aid, I think was the first thing I colored my hair with. So it all just made sense.
Does that actually work?
Oh God, it's such a process. You have to get boiling water in a sink and then put the Kool-Aid packet in, and then I think vinegar, and then you would dip your head in it.
So you had to have lighter hair, though. It definitely is not.
And I was
yeah,
blonde.
definitely.
I was naturally blonde, so it looked terrible.
Okay.
Absolutely terrible. And then I started coloring it black, and I was very pale, and kind of leaned into the because I was around Columbine time, and that was when I was getting really teased in 99, 2000, when I was just getting into high school. And so I had black hair. I was very pale. I wore black clothes, and so people thought I was goth or I was gonna blow up the school.
You were one of those, huh?
So you were the originator of the cat drama in schools.
Yeah, I was that kid that they're like, oh God, are we gonna have to get a litter box for him? But
Did you have a hisser in high school?
No, but now I'm wondering if maybe I was, and I just don't remember doing it.
I had a hisser in high school.
I don't think I was, though.
well, it would be someone would say something to me or something in the hallway, and I'd just be
Yeah.
and act all crazy, and they'd be like, oh my God, maybe I
They
should
leave you the fuck alone.
Yeah, and it was a defense mechanism, okay, I don't know if that guy's gonna come to school with a gun or something like that. So, but then I graduated through a tech program, and I started college a year early through that tech program. And yeah, I showed up to graduation, and everyone's like, we thought you dropped out 2 years ago, because I hadn't been in high school the last 2 years. I was working full time at a Subway all day, and then I would go to school here and there. So everyone thought I was a dropout until I showed up at graduation and with cap and gown and got my diploma with them. And the next day I moved out of town, and I don't go back very often. For Combine Derbies and Christmas, the important things.
you asked me if I had a hisser in high school, but I did have a mooser in high school.
A mooser.
Yeah.
What is a mooser?
So what my friend Kevin, who I do think listens to the podcast.
Hi, Kevin.
He was a larger fella and like myself, and you would just hear this like grunting noise like this, and then he would check you into a locker and he'd call it moosing people. And yeah, definitely that was one of
Can we bring that back?
That's a great bit.
Can we just start like when we're out like at a show or something, just like come
Just
up
a
to
drag
someone,
queen runs
just
over and
come up to
mooses you?
someone after and be like, and then just jack up.
Yeah.
You've been moosed. Huh.
Yeah,
Like,
he did. He did that to me for sure. Yep. He also would wear his underwear outside his pants and call himself Super Kevin and wear a cape. So I don't know if mental stability was
Love
of
him.
the deepest.
I mean, I thought my fashion school was bad
Love
because I wore like Jinkos, the giant
yeah,
jeans.
well, everyone wore
Oh,
those.
And I would actually, in some of my pants, I would cut slits in the bottom and add fabric. So I had this like felt like super scratchy leopard blanket that I cut up and put in there. And I wore like Skechers giant boots with leopard laces. And
Gay.
yeah,
Very
gay,
I was
gay.
like, I don't know.
I would honestly bully you too.
Yeah, I would
think
have.
we should
I
bully him
honestly
now.
I kind of deserved it.
Yeah, you did. You really did.
I kind of asked for it. Well, I was getting it anyway, so I think at one point I just sort of leaned into it.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, well, if I'm gonna, like, I was like dressed like everybody else and try to be like everybody else, and I was still getting, called the F word and gay and all that stuff. So I think at one point I was just like, whatever, I'm just gonna like be the best of that apparently. So I'm gonna paint my nails black, I'm gonna wear eyeliner, I'm gonna have funky leopard shit, and like, so it's like, if I'm gonna be this, then I'm gonna be the best of that, basically.
The best little fag in town.
Best little fag in town.
I bet you were. Still are.
Oh, they still know me there, even though I haven't lived there in 20 years.
I bet they do. Their pride and joy.
Oh, yeah. The nice thing is, though, it is weird because I used to have this animosity towards my hometown, which I don't have anymore. It's still not a place like I want to like go live because I just don't want to live anywhere smaller than where I'm now. But I definitely had these feelings when I was younger, like even just driving through town to like go out to my parents, which is in the country. I have to drive through town. And I would just like revert to that like little scared kid, that like tormented kid that like every time I'd go anywhere there, I'm like, oh, everybody here hates me and everyone's judging me and whatever. Then I think I got to a point in life where I just realized like no one cares. Like that was a long time ago. My sister would ask me to come out and stuff, and she's like, people ask about you. I'm like, why do they ask about me? Like, they were awful to me. And she's like, well, that was a long time ago, and like, were you never awful to someone? And I was like, I mean, we all pick on somebody, right? So like, I was getting picked on, so there was the kid lower than me that I picked on, who was maybe, I don't know, I don't know, whatever they were. It was like they were maybe, we all piss on somebody, right? We all got to take it out on somebody. Well,
I never
pissing on someone, that's another subject.
Yeah.
Golden showers.
Have never bullied or been mean to anyone before, actually. I've been very sweet in my whole life.
True. That's not true.
Very kind soul.
I'm bullied daily.
I actually just bullied Josh before I got
Actually,
here.
I was gonna say when it's situation like when Josh, our piercer, is at the salon, we definitely. He's just more fun to bully.
Yeah, he gives me a reaction.
There's always that one person that's the most fun to bully.
He reacts so much, and that just obviously, I don't know. I think at this point, someone bullied me, and I'm just kind of like a cat. I'm like,
You're just gonna hiss at him.
like. I'm not even like, I don't even have the hiss in me anymore. I'm just like a cat, like an old cat that can't be bothered. That just sort of like looks at you and is like,
I think I like I don't know how to say that. I was gonna say I like bullying, but I do. But like that's how I like joke with. That's how I joke with people I like. It's like we bully each other. Like Amber and I go at each other all the time, and so like I don't know how I would react if someone was genuinely trying to bully me nowadays.
Right.
I think I would probably just love it and give it right back to them.
Well, that's like a lot of our like clients sometimes think that like because there's 3 drag queens that work together and we're very sometimes, but that's just how we talk to each other. And they're like, God, you guys really don't like each other. I'm like, oh no, that's like how we show love. It's like if I don't like you, I'm gonna say it behind your back.
Yeah, that's
if
true.
I like you, I'm just gonna say it to your face that wig is ugly, or real women don't wear black lipstick. I'm just gonna say it to you because it's true.
See, facts. Facts are facts, America.
Facts, not feelings. Facts, not feelings. Love you, girl.
Okay, so decided to go to cosmetology school and just, really embrace the tree of it all, at that point.
It just seemed to make sense. Like I said, I'd always been doing hair and makeup kind of for friends and stuff like that. And taking the basic psychology classes that I gotten from going to school for counseling, it just seemed to make sense, because now it's like I do get to counsel people a little bit. I talk more than I let my clients talk. I used to be told to be interested, not interesting, but I'm not good at that.
Yeah.
So, I put the ball in their court. I said, how are you? What's new? What's going on? And say, oh, not much. And what's going on with you? And I'm like, well, my cat the other day.
Let me tell you
about my garden or my cat or what I baked the other day.
Yep.
So I've never had a problem with obviously talking, but it's just more immediate gratification. Like, instead of counseling someone for years, you say, I have dead ends or I have roots, and in an hour and a half or 2 hours, I can fix it and you walk out happy and I'm happy and I get to go home and not think about it. It doesn't come home with me. So it's kind of the perfect career for me. I get to talk all day. I get to make people pretty, which makes them feel good, which makes me feel good.
Love it.
And now I've been doing it 20 years, which is wild.
Yeah.
I did take a break at one point, and I went and did some other jobs, which were awful. I did phone jobs. Yeah, not like phone jobs, like
you did those too.
That was for free.
Not professionally.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't have a W-2 for that. But I worked for different companies. Like, I worked for one that it was like the NRA, the Republican Party, and the Olympic Committee. And so they would, they'd donate money, and then they'd be sent to me to get their credit card information. And I was terrible at it because it was all old people. And because those are the only people that are going to donate money over the phone to somebody.
Yeah.
Like, no one else is doing that. And I always got in trouble because I talked to them too long. Like, they'd do my quality assurance, whatever, and they'd be like, you cannot be on the phone for 40 minutes with, like, old Nancy. Like, and I'm like, but
old Nancy fucking loved it.
I was like, I'm a grandma's boy. I lost both my grandmas at this point. And, like, I'm not going to tell her to, like, cut off her story.
Yeah.
I want to know what happened on her stories today. So yeah, I've done some interesting jobs. I worked in retail for years. I sold everything from hermit crabs to Victoria's Secret bras. Hermit crabs are awful.
Victoria's Secret bras are...
Well, I worked at Victoria's Secret.
No, they're great.
Oh, they are great bras. Yeah. Okay. I mean, their quality has gone a little down, but I worked in beauty, so I mostly did like makeup and fragrance and stuff like that. I didn't really do the fittings for the bras. Okay. Although people wanted me to all the time. One interesting thing from working at Victoria's Secret is the Amish women that would come in.
Oh,
they were some really. I mean, I don't know if they were Mennonite or Amish, but I could never like ring them up because I couldn't touch their dainties. But like, I would be like looking over and I'm like, now every time I see like an Amish woman, I'm like, I think she's wearing crotchless panties, because they would buy some really, really risque underwear, and it's very much like, ooh, lady in the street, what they got going on under that.
When Jedediah gets that tarp off,
oh my god,
he's in for a treat.
Yeah, that was probably one of the most shocking things of working at Victoria's Secret. I mean, there's the weird other stuff, but yeah, the Mennonite Amish women,
that's wonderful,
coming in. That was a treat.
Love that. So was doing cosmetology what got you into doing drag?
So yeah, like you said, I was doing drag as a little kid, and then I did drag in high school when there was like, I think there was opposite sex day for homecoming, which I think is really funny for like a small town. And I dressed up that day and confused people, and I did it for Halloween a few times, and kind of always knew that like I was feminine looking and that I could kind of pull it off, and obviously I enjoyed it. But yeah, I was in beauty school. And there was 3 guys in beauty school at that time, and me and one of the other guys were dared to go to a drag show and drag. So of course I did it. The other guy chickened out. I went to the show. I met some of the queens. I think I was asked right away by, I can't remember who, but they said, would you want to be in a show at some point? And the rest is kind of history. I was 19 years old. I had a fake ID. I met my first boyfriend, I think, the day before, and he said, I don't date drag queens. I said, that's funny. I'm going to be here in drag tomorrow. And then anyways, we were together for like 5 years after that. But yeah, now I've been doing drag for 20 years. So it's kind of wild how it just, you start something as a dare or whatever. And then I think it would have happened no matter what. I think I was, it was meant to be.
Mine was a dare too. It's always
really?
It's always a dare.
But that's like, it gets
and
you.
we set the dare up. Truly, you probably set the dare up.
I'm sure.
I dare you to do it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, what? Dare
I remember
me?
I was like teaching the makeup part in school because the Milady Standard Cosmetology book teaches you about makeup. Like you can use your lipstick as rouge as well, and like it's very like. There's not a lot in it. It's about 2 pages, and it's some your grandma could teach you. So I had done makeup my whole life, and I'd been reading books on it and whatever. Because again, this is before we had YouTube to teach us everything. These kids today have YouTube for everything. We had to like just do it, and I had the Kevin Aucoin books and stuff like that. So I think I was teaching the makeup to the students as a student, and that's when it came about. Like, oh, you should do your makeup, and go to a drag show. And but the first drag show I ever went to, I was that asshole who like went up on stage because we were really drunk and I didn't know there was a show going on. So me and my friend run in and we just run to the stage to dance. And I can't remember who was on stage, but D Lovely was DJing, and she's like, "Get off the stage!" And we're just dancing and like not realizing that there's only one person on the stage and that everyone else is watching, and we're just like, "What?
Oh no!
Oh!
Was this at Scooters?
Yeah.
God, what year was this?
Well, God, it was 20 years ago, so we're talking like 2004, maybe. Yeah.
Long and storied history that bar has.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what was it like in like the early days of your drag career compared to now?
I look back with like, how do I word this? It was good, but it was also like, it's so different now because like I'm one of the old ones now and have respect and all that. I mean, ish. And but back then, I mean, I was like 110 pounds soaking wet. I wore bra and panties on stage. I didn't wear big hair. I wore barely any makeup. I mean, you think I don't wear makeup now? I mean, I was wearing bare minerals and some mascara, and and I thought I was just fish as fuck. Like I thought I was hot.
Well, you were.
And you couldn't tell me otherwise. And I didn't take advice from the older queens, and that pissed him off.
Sounds like a baby queen.
Yes, I didn't want to look. I was like, I don't want to look like you guys, which now looking back was kind of rude to say.
Well, but probably for the best, to be honest.
I mean, you remember those gals. But I wanted to do new pop music, and I wanted to look like a pop star, and they were doing stuff from the 80s and this really like over the top stuff, and I just didn't want. I wanted to do the illusion, like female illusion, and do new music, and I did music that wasn't even on the radio. I was doing the kind of B tracks from albums because I was like, I want people to associate this song with me, not the artist. Which I actually had a lot of fun back then because I just did what I wanted. I did what songs I wanted. I performed how I didn't really have this like this image to keep up with. I didn't have it was like, and people loved it. Now I wouldn't necessarily go on stage and do a song that nobody knows. Yeah. Because you're just not going to get the reaction you want. But there was a lot of animosity from the other performers at first. Actually, Animosity was a performer, and she was wonderful. She was actually really nice to me. But a lot. Shout out to Anna. I don't know if she's still alive. I hope she is. But it was very kitschy back then. Like people made their own shit, and stuff was like duct taped together and glued together and very crafty. Yeah. And wigs were not what they are now. And, so like looking back, again, it's kind of like my childhood. I look with like nostalgic eyes, and I find it funny and cute and sort of miss it. But then at the time I hated it because none of them liked me. Yeah. They all thought I was just, and I probably was. I thought I was better than them, even though I just started, and it's like, I'm cute and skinny and
sounds like a baby queen.
Yeah, honestly. So And it was also, we didn't have the pressure back then of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yeah.
There was nothing really people could compare us to. It wasn't like, oh, they're clocking our wig or they're clocking whatever. They just saw what they saw at the bar, and that was, if it was a big burly guy in a pink dress who barely put on mascara, they were like, oh, that's funny, and so yeah, it's, looking back, it was good times, bad times. The best of times, the worst of times.
It was the times.
It was the times.
I mean, I've talked about it on the pod before. I'm like nostalgic for that period of drag that I didn't even get to experience. Just like looking back on it and talking to older queens, like I miss the crunchiness of it, even though that was like 15 years before I even admitted I was gay.
Well, this was before. I had been doing drag a few years before I even got my MySpace. So like, we weren't, I have actual printed pictures of like my first shows. Like those are not online. Those are not, so like we didn't have the social media aspect. We didn't have the, drag obviously was not as mainstream. So it was just really like, organic and like kind of haphazard and great and awful in all the same ways. Like, but there was a lot less pressure. It was more of it was way more of a hobby then. We didn't make any money doing it. We did a show maybe once every few months. Queens didn't come out unless there was a show. So I was probably one of the first around here that like, after going through a breakup, I was like, I'm just going to go out all the time and drag because I'm cute and I want to get attention and I want, whatever. And then we all started to just like, oh, it's Friday night. Let's all wear red tonight and go out, or let's go to Water Street and mess with the college boys.
Kids.
Yeah. My favorite Water Street story though has to be going to, I think you had to be there, Sheenan's. And these boys came up to me and were like, hey, baby, what's your name? And I was like, Joey. Like, as deep as my voice could go. And they're because, again, I was like super passable in my mind and whatever. And the one still asked me to dance about 10 minutes later. So that didn't fix it. But yeah, those early days of going around and sort of spooking people. And
yeah, I was spooking people because I was not fooling anyone. But
when you started, you were very like church lady, and like I don't know if you've seen pictures of her early days, but like you were very demure in like your dress.
I still am demure.
Yes. But yeah, I mean,
because I was terrified because there was, at that point, Jem was kind of like, I'll never forget the first time I ever saw you. It was at Scooter's at a show. And you were just so beautiful on stage because the rest were monsters. So it wasn't hard to look good.
I was like, oh.
Now we'll see how many of them idiots are listening to this.
Yeah, right.
But I remember you very specifically because you were very beautiful and you looked like a real woman. I would have never known. And I was tipping you and you just snatched that $1 bill and didn't even pay an ounce of attention to me.
Sounds like young
and
me.
I was like, oh my God, and she's a bitch. I love her. So yeah, I remember that. And then I remember when I came out after the first time, everyone was really nice to me. I don't really remember talking to you that night at all. But then I was like, I think I added you on Facebook and I was like, oh, what kind of makeup do you use? I really had no interest in learning from you, but I just wanted to talk to you. And so I used that as like my forte. And then I think you told me you used like dry powdered paints or something from Michael's for your eyeshadow.
Oh my God. Back then it was like acrylic powders.
Yeah.
Which is so toxic.
Girl,
but
that
man, were they
can't be good
bright,
for you.
vivid colors. Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought you were an idiot and I never took that advice.
I got my eyeshadow from the craft store.
Yeah. Never listened to that advice, but I just wanted to be your friend.
But,
so
I learned that from Kelly, but they were very vivid, and somehow I have eye problems now, so that might as I'm sitting here, I'm constantly like my eyes are always watering and like I have issues with my eyes. Maybe it's from all that toxic stuff I was putting. And I was probably like, oh, I use Bare Minerals. And I remember Gildra, who is grandma, like she's one of the oldest drag queens known to man in Eau Claire. I remember her coming out to me one night and she was like, honey, cover girl doesn't cover boy. Because I think by that hour I probably had stubble, and it was like wearing off. And again, I had like a little mascara and like some nude lip gloss, and I was like, I'm cute.
But you know, the thing is, you were probably still prettier than all of them there. So
you
let's
know,
just be
it was
honest.
in comparison. It wasn't good, but it was better.
Is that old queen still around? She gone?
Gildra is still around. Shout out to Gildra. She hasn't done drag in a while. She was famous for her Lucy, like the Vita Vita Vegemin bit. That was her thing.
I wanted to ask, because Chloe Chloe, the person sitting to your left, often refers to you as you're a legend in the Eau Claire community. I mean, it's not just Chloe referring to you as that, but like, Chloe, what makes Jem a legend?
Yes. What makes me a legend? And let's not go for age right away.
I think it's just her ability to stick around, stick through it.
Longevity.
No.
I won't go away. I'm like herpes. I'm never going
Once
away.
you got me, you got me.
You know, I go away for a while. And just when you think you've gotten rid of me for good,
You have a flare up.
I'm like, yes, it's a flare up. And I'm like, I'm having a comeback. And, you know.
No, I think what truly makes Jem, Joey, an icon is that you are a true mix of kindness and beauty. And those are two things you don't often find with people. I think that a lot of times you find one or the other. And I think that you always march to the beat of your own drum. You know, like when you were saying most of the time, it was like pageant drag was really big at that time. You were doing more like poppy, realistic drag, and it was just something different. And then you were also just very kind and welcoming.
Yes, I've been called the welcome wagon.
Well, that's for another reason.
For multiple reasons, but I was often, because I lived at the gay bar for many years. Travis actually didn't think I had a home.
Yeah, I didn't.
When he first saw my house, and still he said it a few times. Like I was like, I think you said it the other day when you were over. You're like, I still find it weird that you like have a home. And I'm like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
He's like, I just always kind of thought you had a cot in the basement of the bar. Like that's like where you existed, right? And I really did for a long time.
Yeah.
Like that was my home. That was my community. That was my everything. And I was often the first person people met when they came out, and you know, and whether it was me trying to hook up with them or they would be like, "Oh, I'm wanting to get into drag." I'm like, "Okay, let's get you in, whatever." So I was often that first person for people, and I have always tried to be, because I didn't come into the nicest environment of people being accepting of me. And again, I take my responsibility for that because I was not the nicest. But I always wanted to make sure that like any new person coming up behind me wasn't going to get that from me. Like there wasn't going to be that animosity. There wasn't going to be that jealousy. I know, I give stuff away to all the newbies. I'm constantly giving away costumes and hair because I know
it's crap that no one else wants.
It's crap that no one wants, but also I know how expensive it is to get started.
Yeah.
And if someone would have gave me a crappy wig or something like that when I first started, they probably tried.
Oh, it's like
I was wearing
some of them. I remember. I thought maybe
I was too fancy. I was wearing the Vivica Fox wigs at that time. Oh, that was like good lace front back then.
It was.
That was really that was it. But yeah, I just always wanted to. That was something I like consciously wanted to make sure that like I wasn't that old queen who was being mean to new people or that was seemingly jealous or like I often, like Amber said to me one day recently, she's like, well, yeah, you would make comments to me like when I first started about me being skinny or whatever. I'm like, well, that was me complimenting you. That wasn't me like dragging you. That was like, if I made a comment about you being skinnier than me, that's me sort of like giving you a like, oh, good for you kind of whatever, not me talking down to you.
Again, you never said that to me.
Well, so anyways, but no, I always wanted to be, like that. And I'm not really a good drag mother, as we've discovered. I've tried it a few times. It's not my deal. I'm like a cat, and once I stop nursing you, like, get away. But I feel like I'm a good, like, drag auntie or, like, older sister.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm cool with you, but I'm not going to teach you how to do your makeup.
We can't all be mothers.
You're very good at it. I'm not. That's just not
I'm
my
bossy.
thing. Well, I'm not particularly bossy, and I'm a little too self-absorbed. I think I'm too in my own world.
Yeah.
To like be like, oh, let me mold you into something or help you become something, because I'm still trying to become. I'm still trying to figure it out for myself.
Well, I think there's a lot to your story, and we love that. And I think that we unfortunately are running low on time today, but maybe we should have you back for another one, and we can get into the
part 2 in here because we only talked about like 1 3-way.
Yeah, we're just scratching.
So now we got the beginning. You got the beginning story. Now we got to go into the nitty gritty and the X-rated. Because there's a lot of that.
I do, before we wrap things up, 2 things. One, do you have any like piece of advice for that little gay kid getting bullied in his small town? We'll start there.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna sound so cheesy, but like the whole like it gets better thing, but it really does. I think it's very different now too. I think people are more accepting. I feel for like the trans kids. I feel like they're kind of the new target.
Yeah.
I think people are a lot more accepting now of kids being gay, although like there's always going to be teasing, whether you're the fat kid or the poor kid or the, whatever it is, like the gay kid, there's always going to be teasing. That is human nature, but I do feel like it's gotten better, and it does get better. And you will find your community, and I think that's the most important thing, is finding people that like your chosen family. Like I said, I'm very lucky that my real family is so wonderful, but I also have my chosen family, and finding a community, which I think is maybe becoming a little hard, maybe a little harder, maybe just different, maybe not harder, because we had to find it physically. It's like go to a bar, find people. Now I think they're finding them online and through different ways, but finding a community I think is really, really key, because if you can surround yourself with like-minded people and people that get what you're going through and get what you've been through, that makes a world of difference versus being around a bunch of people who they accept you, but they have not been through what you've been through. So I think that's like probably the number one thing, is like find your community, and don't be too hard on yourself. Again, that sounds cheesy, but
but it's true.
But it's true. It gets better. Find your community, and love yourself as much as you can. I do a lot of that.
And then number 2 was if you could say one thing to baby drag queen Jem Stone when she was just getting started, what would you say to her?
Nothing. It turned out perfect.
Great.
No, I would say be more respectful of the advice that people are giving you, even though like the way that it came out was sort of catty at the time. Now looking back, I'm seeing like that might have just be how we talked to each other, and I didn't quite get it yet, and I just thought they were being catty. And I think even though I didn't necessarily want the advice or wouldn't take it because I didn't want to be them, I think I should have been more respectful of them and the fact that they've been doing it longer and that they were trying to give me advice. So I think that would be advice to my younger drag self and to new drag queens, is to be respectful of those who came before you, because they paved the way for you. Like I feel that way with younger queens now. I'm like, you have no idea what I went through so that I walked so you could run, kind of thing. Like we had to deal with more, and maybe not more, but just in a different way. So be respectful of your elders, y'all.
Yeah, I think that's a good note to end on. Do you have anything else?
No. Great.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
I love to be had.
We know. We know.
Where can people find you on the social medias or whatever?
You can find me at Joey Emerson on Facebook. I'm old and I still have Facebook. I'm on the Threads now. I'm on the Instagram, Jem Stone, official Jem Stone. On all of them. I'm not on TikTok.
Don't get on TikTok.
Yeah, I was for a minute, but no, I used to do cooking videos on YouTube, Easy Queen cooking videos. If you want to giggle, check those out because they're pretty bad.
Just make sure you have a stockpile of liquid smoke on you ready to go if you're going to file, or ranch powder.
Oh my God, ranch powder and liquid smoke. I used like a whole thing of liquid smoke in one recipe because
not good.
I didn't know what I was doing.
Okay.
I literally was figuring it out. Like I didn't have recipes. I just was figuring it out as I went.
Shit in.
And yeah, that one probably got the most comments though, because people are like, that's a lot of liquid smoke.
Incredible.
Yeah, I've come a long way since then.
Good. Okay.
Cool.
Great.
Love it.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Small Town Big Gays is hosted by Travis Gorell and me, Chance Smith. Our music is 1 AM by TYB. You can check out his music. Links are in the episode description. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at STBG Pod. Find us on Facebook if you're a Facebook person. Email us at smalltownbiggays@gmail.com. And for more shit from me, Chance, go to strangehavens.com.